In order to regulate our social coexistence, we need rules. But as you are well aware of, there are different types of rules. In previous years, you have studied the difference between moral rules and legal rules, but let me remind you this important difference. Morality is made by autonomous rules, rules made by yourself, dictated by your conscience, that tell you personally what is right or wrong. If you do not obey your own moral rules, nobody is going to punish you, but you might feel remorse and regret. On the other hand, legal rules are made by the authorities, not by yourself. So we say that they are heteronymous rules. And if you break them, you can be punished by the authorities because these rules are made for everybody, not just for you. The fact that there are two different kinds of rules can create problems. What happens when the law and morality come into conflict, when they collide, when my morality is against the legal rules? This happens, for example, when we consider that a certain rule, a law, is immoral and shouldn't be obeyed. This has happened many times in the past, because in the past, some rules, some laws were immoral, were unfair. They, for example, discriminated people, and that is something that we shouldn't accept. Nevertheless, it is not easy to react in such situations, because if you break the law, you can be punished. So what can be done? One option is conscientious objection. Conscientious objection happens when one person refuses to comply with the law because they consider it is against their most important ethical beliefs. For example, this happens in the war when you are sent there to the war to kill people, but you consider that killing people is immoral, so you don't want to be a soldier, you don't want to participate in the war. When this happens, you are severely punished by the military, but you are respecting your moral conscience. Another very common case of conscientious objection happens when doctors refuse, for example, to practice abortions in those countries where abortion is permitted by the law, because they think that abortion is against their moral beliefs. Another option is civil disobedience. Civil disobedience is a collective protest movement trying to show that a certain law is unfair. What people do in these cases is refusing to comply with the law and openly accepting the legal consequences of this disobedience. If you refuse to comply with the law, to obey the law, you will be probably punished, you will be sent to prison. If this is not an individual action, but if it is collective, if it is made by many people, this can create a problem for the government. Imagine, a lot of people think that the law is unfair, a lot of people break the law, refuse to obey it, and the government has to send all those people to prison. So the prisons are filled with hundreds or thousands of protesters who peacefully accept going to prison because they think the law is unfair. This is exactly what Gandhi did in India in order to show that the colonial British laws were unfair. And finally, he succeeded because his movement of civil disobedience had a great number of people following him.